Morning. I'm the boss today. Good morning. Good morning, Instagram. Good morning, Facebook. It's Thursday, the 21st of May. So you're going to hear some dogs in the background today because we have a guy working on our alarm system. And my hound dogs don't like people here, so they're outside barking, and Pig is sitting in here with me looking out the window watching them bark. And I have no doubt that at some point during this live, we're going to hear a huge commotion of barking, and there has to be. I'm just going to expect it, and that way I won't be surprised, you know? So good morning. You guys all waving. Good morning, good morning. So anyway, we'll see. We'll see if they can keep their voices down. But if you hear a bunch of barking, that's why. What are you going to do? I have hound dogs. For any of you that have hound dogs, you know that they are so loud, and we have bloodhounds, so it's like this howl that happens when there's someone in our house that shouldn't be. So even though we invited them. And little Miss Piggy just joins in because she figures if the hound dogs are doing it, the bulldogs should do it, right? So anyway, it is, I believe it's Thursday, May 21st. I'm Dr. Tricia Pingel, and this is your morning checkup. We're going to be talking about the vagus nerve today. I always say, let's go to Vegas, you know, and you think Las Vegas, but we're going to talk about how to calm down, how to stimulate your vagus nerve and calm your body so that you can heal. My coffee's good in the boss mug. So I've also got my water because as we're hitting summer here, it's getting a little bit hot. Hello, Jamie. How are you? Everyone's saying good morning this morning. So let's talk about the vagus. So what am I talking about, right? What is the vagus nerve, right? So let's start with that. You guys, first of all, you always know that I talk about this fight or flight response versus a rest or digest response, or a sympathetic versus parasympathetic response. Well, the vagus nerve is very much involved in parasympathetic activity, okay? It's one of the 12 cranial nerves in the body. It is by far the longest and the most complex cranial nerve. It's often referred to as the 10th cranial nerve. So it runs from your brain, down your stem, through your lungs, and it splits into two, okay? So it runs through the entire body. And it essentially serves as a communication between your brain and your organs. Hi, Erin. Good morning, everybody. So if we want to digest our food, it requires stimulation of the vagus nerve. So most of the time, when I talk about stimulation, I'm talking about being too excited, too stressed out, too much fight or flight. Well, remember, you've got the sympathetic nervous system, that is this fight or flight. So you're in the woods, you see the bear, you freak out. That's a sympathetic response, that panic, worry, panic, you know, what all of us deal with on a daily basis is sympathetic. Parasympathetic is where we digest our food, we repair our cells, we boost our immune system, right? So the parasympathetic activity is what we need to stay well. So when you stimulate the vagus nerve, you get parasympathetic activity. And there are many things you can do to stimulate the vagus nerve. The problem is when you're stimulating the sympathetic nervous system, so you're running from a bear, you get less stimulation of the vagus nerve, and that results in destruction and disease development. Okay, we were built really well. Our system knows how to handle stress. And a lot of this goes to our current times of people being very scared and very fearful and very, you know, running from a bear all the time and thinking that the worry and the fear actually helps us be prepared. Not necessarily. We need to stimulate vagal tone. We need to calm the body down so that it can protect us from immune invaders and from further stress response and cell destruction and cancer. I mean, all these things that happen from the body really not paying attention and not doing its job, right? So we're going to talk about how to stimulate the vagus nerve because you can actually do this at home. You don't need to go to a doctor to stimulate your vagus nerve. Isn't that cool? Yeah, now, so let's talk about it. This is a communication between our organs and our brain, and the vagus nerve either is stimulated or not stimulated or somewhere in between. It's responsible for regulating your digestion, regulating your heart rate, your respiratory rate. Certain reflex actions like coughing, sneezing, swallowing, vomiting all have to do with the vagus nerve as well. It is part of your digest and rest, or rest and digest system of your central nervous system, making it essential in controlling symptoms of overstimulation, such as anxiety, insomnia. This even goes to depression, which can be overstimulation, poor memory, attention deficit disorder, all these things that have to do with sympathetic, running from a bear, right? We can actually calm those down by focusing on the parasympathetic system and stimulating the vagus nerve. Okay, so we don't, there's so many different therapies for these overstimulations, right? I talk about different adrenal herbs. I talk about, nutrients that help boost these things. We've talked about, the conventional side, using medications for these things. But the bottom line is we actually have the ability to calm our bodies down ourselves. We don't always need these types of things. And so learning these skills are really, really important, okay? Good morning to over there on Facebook. I have a lot of people saying hello, good morning, trying to keep up with all of you here. Nice to have you. So when the nerve is suppressed, when the vagus nerve is suppressed, it's considered to have low vagal tone. It's low tone. That's where you see digestive difficulties, inflammation, and get this one, even obesity. Right? Low vagal tone has been linked to obesity. What is probably the number one, well, you're up there with cardiovascular disease, but talking about epidemics in our country, obesity is up there, okay? And I sit here all day long and talk about how stress can impact our weight, stress can impact our health. Well, here you go, right here. It's been linked to obesity. How, right? How, Dr. Pingel, right? Okay, well, one of the most critical functions of the vagus nerve is to transmit hunger and satiety signals, okay? So it tells you whether you're hungry or whether you're full, okay? It plays a role in that. And there was a 2016 review that stated and found that consumption of high-calorie foods will actually reduce the sensitivity of the vagus nerve in those signals. So if you're someone who's eating that standard American diet with a lot of high calorie, sugar-laden processed foods, it will actually reduce the normal function of your vagus nerve to respond to hunger cues. Want me to let that sit in for a second? Crazy. I found that crazy. And I read a ton of research. I was blown away by that. I was like, wow, okay. Yes, we need to manage our stress. We need to focus on what our body can do, right? So they found that the disruption to vagus nerve function drove instances of overeating and higher levels of obesity. Crazy. This is a PubMed study, okay? Not making it up. Now, conversely, stimulating the vagus nerve or activating the vagus nerve and giving it high tone has been shown, research to improve symptoms of anxiety and symptoms of inflammatory disorders such as rheumatoid arthritis and diabetes. Okay, it's also been shown to aid in your digestion, your absorption of nutrients, lower your risk of heart disease, aid in toxin removal, support kidney function, and support the mind-body connection, okay? And we can do this all at home, okay? Pretty cool, right? There was a 2013 study that showed that greater vagal tone was linked to better physical and mental health. Additionally, studies have shown and proven that stimulating the vagus nerve lowers inflammation by suppressing the production of cytokines. Now, how many out there are reading the news about cytokine storms and pro-inflammatory situations that can happen from a virus? Okay, the vagus nerve helps control that, helps control cytokine release so that you don't overreact. So, very, very important. I don't know how to say that enough. It's important to remember that you have a system built into you that will calm you down, okay? Studies have also shown, oh yeah, I'm not done. I'm gonna keep going, okay? Studies have also shown that vagus nerve stimulation has been used as treatment for treatment-resistant depression. So people that don't respond well to medications have used stimulation of vagus nerve to improve their digestive or their depression symptoms, PTSD, and inflammatory bowel disease. Now, how many out there have all of these inflammatory bowel conditions with literally no treatment? It's like, okay, well, I don't know, try this anti-inflammatory or take this antidepressant or avoid this food or, here's something, take antidiarrheal medications or, whatnot. When we could actually stimulate our natural nervous system to help with that situation. It's a no-brainer, right? It really is. So, they also found that there's evidence that the vagus nerve is interrelated with your healthy gut flora. Okay, so we talked about, I think it was last week, we talked about the gut-brain axis, right? And how those are related and how our gut and our brain work together to stimulate neurotransmitters, to stimulate our immune system and all of that. They're finding links between the vagus nerve and gut bacteria specifically, okay? So vagal stimulation, so important. So how do we do it? Like I'm saying, you could do this from home. So let's learn how. And some water. There go the hound dogs. They're starting to bark at the alarm guy. We knew it would happen. People are asking about fibromyalgia, PTSD. Exactly. I mean, anything that's that's coming from a stimulated state. So just look at, I just try to think about when I have something stressful that happens, how I'll worry, right? I'll think about, oh God, what's going to happen now? What's going to happen next? Oh, how is that going to impact my kids? Oh my gosh, what's going to happen? How am I going to do this? Or how am I going to do that? That's sympathetic stimulation. That's the brain worrying about a bear all the time. It's not me being in the moment. It's not me calming and allowing myself to digest my food, right? You notice in times of stress, your hunger will change. Your regular, your bowel function will change, your stomach will change, your mood will change, right? Because it's turning off the parasympathetic or downregulating the parasympathetic activity. So we all go through this, right? And right now is a great example of this. Like, I bet that all of you could go online to some website, doesn't even matter what it is, and find a website that always irks you and read one headline, just one, and your body goes into sympathetic flight. Mine does. I get really mad when I read stuff that totally is not accurate. And I'm like, oh Lord, what are people, what are we doing here? Why are we spreading stuff that isn't real? This isn't helping us. We're all in this sympathetic fight or flight, and it's not right. We need to learn how to breathe and how to calm down. So let's talk about it. It took a moment there. I saw a bunch of you joining, so I just was kind of giving a second for some of you to catch up. Talking about the vagus nerve, folks, for those of you that are joining, okay? All right, so here are some things that are scientifically proven to actually stimulate the vagus nerve and calm you down, okay? Now, everyone hears about breath. Oh, just take a deep breath. And there's actually a lot of validity to that, okay? So number one, I want to talk a little bit about meditation. However, it really goes more to breath. So I've admitted before that I'm a horrible meditator, and I am. My brain always has something in it. I mean, it's nonstop. Now, it doesn't always irk me. I think I've learned how to not let it take me down a sympathetic track when it's moving like this, but it's always moving. So for me to try to quiet my mind is literally virtually impossible. But as far as sitting, maybe outside, watching the birds and taking deep, full breaths, that is, the purpose of meditation, whatever it may be for you, whatever that involves for you, the purpose of it is to calm you down and bring you back to the moment. Not to worry about what's going to happen next, what happened in the past, how not to worry about where your kids are or what your husband's doing or did you clean the floor or where's mom or it's like you have to just be in your moment, okay? Oh, that's great, Becca. We have a lot of stuff to add today. Someone's saying they're about to do a podcast on deep breathing. We're about to talk about it too. So there are a bunch of different mechanisms for deep breathing that do help. Now, first key for anyone who's learning how to breathe, you must breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. Okay, so you have to And this is very important. First of all, breath going through the nose has a lot of benefits. I think I've talked about it before in antiviral benefits. How do we protect ourselves from getting viruses in our body? By going through the nose. If we're breathing through our mouth, they're going right in. Okay, so you breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. Now, the inhale is shorter than the exhale. So when you breathe in, make the exhale longer, okay? Someone's saying tongue to the roof of the mouth. Yep, as you move forward, you get more advanced options, right? So the simple is breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth, make the exhale longer than the inhale. Try to focus on the moment, where you are. Put yourself in a very calming place, okay? And don't worry about thoughts. Just focus on the breath. Am I breathing? There is a whole study on diaphragmatic breathing. Now, diaphragm is down here. So when you're breathing, you're not, right? That's breathing through the mouth. When you do it through the nose, it's a lot harder to lift your shoulders up, right? You have to use your diaphragm to breathe. Now, there's a little bit further to this as well. I have a great friend who does a ton of restorative yoga. Heather, you're awesome. Thank you for the call today. Who talked about retention of breath, which I think is a great suggestion. As you move forward, you start to hold that breath in a little bit longer. Now, we don't want you to not be able to breathe, okay? So don't go crazy, but you breathe in through the nose, hold it for a beat or two, and then exhale. As you get better at this, you'll find that you'll be able to hold it a little bit longer each time. So there's a lot of benefits in that type of breathing as well. But what this does is it stimulates your vagus nerve. So according to a 2013 study, practicing meditation resulted in greater vagal tone and increased positive emotions. Okay, so breathing makes a difference. On that same note, moving into getting moving, exercise. Now, we're not talking about CrossFit here, okay? We're talking about exercise that involves movement of the body associated with breath, okay? Yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong. I practice a ton of Pilates. And when I use the word practice, that's exactly what it is, folks. You can't just wake up and do yoga and do it perfectly, okay? You guys have to have patience with yourself. This is practice. This is a discipline. This is something that you learn over time. You don't just go to one Pilates class and calm your body down. I've been training in Pilates for 5 years or so pretty actively, and watching where I started to where I am now, you know, when I first used to do the exercises, I didn't do the breath with it, or I didn't do it appropriately. And now learning how to breathe when I activate certain muscles is not only helping with stability muscles, my core, my health, but it's also stimulating vagal tone, calming me down, putting me in the moment. I can tell you when I'm doing Pilates, I'm not thinking about whether or not I mopped the floor, or whether or not I paid a bill, or what's gonna happen tomorrow, or what am I gonna talk about on my live tomorrow. By the way, these lives are in the moment. I pick my topic 15 or 20 minutes before I go live. I do that on purpose because I don't wanna spend too much time worrying about it. I just don't. I don't want to spend a ton of time researching it. I've written the articles, I've done the research, so I go back to my notes and I say, oh, what do I feel like talking about today? What inspires me today? How can I be in the moment? Today was Vegas, right? So that's just what I do. So you just kind of have to go with it. So there's a lot of studies with that. In fact, a 2019 study revealed that moderate exercise actually activates the vagus nerve, which induces the release of dopamine and reduces systemic inflammation. Additionally, there was a 2012 study that showed that yoga was able to correct the underactivity of parasympathetic nervous system, in part by stimulating the vagus nerve. This is why so many people encourage yoga. Now, I do want to say, and I was reminded of this by my friend Heather, hot yoga is not the same as restorative yoga, right? Hot yoga has benefits in many different ways, okay, guys? Detoxification, otherwise, but it's not accessing the parasympathetic system as much as a restorative, calming, supportive yoga, right? So not all yoga is the same. If you're trying to do power yoga, that's gonna have a different impact on your body than doing restorative yoga, okay? So what we're looking for stimulated vagal tone is we're looking to calm the body, not freak it out. Okay, we're not looking to power ourselves. There are times and moments for that. But if your purpose is to calm overactivity, calm anxiety, PTSD, Jamie, yes, panic disorder, all of that. When you're in a panic, if you're having a panic attack, what's the first thing that people say to do? No one's gonna answer. Am I lagging? Breathe. That's what people tell you to do. But the problem is you breathe like this. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about breathing in through the nose, exhale through the mouth longer than the inhale. That will actually slow your heart rate. If you can slow your heart rate through breath, that is an indication that you are stimulating your vagus nerve, because that's what your vagus nerve does. It slows your heart rate. Okay, so you usually hear relax. Yeah, me too. I do too. People are like, Trisha, just relax, really. I mean, you're going crazy. Not that I panic very often, but I've been known to. I'm a very hyper person. Yes, Heather, breathe. Yes, you have to breathe, okay? And check your heart rate. If you're in a panic, check your heart rate, breathe, see if you can bring it down. Check your blood pressure, breathe, see if you can bring it down. If you're bringing it down, congratulations, you're stimulating your vagus nerve, okay? And that's what you need to do on a daily practice. I'm calling it practice because that's exactly what it is, practice, okay? So this one, number 3, is always a tough one, okay? Taking a cold shower. Okay, I'm one of those people, I do not like the cold. I do not. I live in Phoenix for a reason. I love the heat. Even the hot summers, totally fine with me. Like, absolutely fine. But there is benefit in application of cold for stimulating the vagus nerve. Now, there's a whole discipline in this that we learn as naturopathic physicians through medical school. We learn about constitutional hydrotherapy. We learn about hydrotherapy in general with applications of hot and cold. There's a reason for that. Not only does it stimulate lymphatic function, which helps detox and clear the body, but it also can stimulate your vagus nerve to calm you down. Okay, so according to a 2018 study, cold stimulation on the neck can strengthen vagal tone and lower the heart rate. So for those of you over there with panic disorders and PTSD and you get triggered by something, try to take a cold towel and wrap it around your neck in those moments and see if that helps you out. Okay? There's also a bunch of, I love spas, you know, when they're open. I'm really kind of bummed that they're like not open. It's driving me nuts. But anyway, but you can do you can actually go from hot to cold application, right? They have you go in the hot tub and then they have you douse in a cold plunge, right? There's a reason for that. I see someone saying you do cold showers. I can't do a whole cold shower, but I can do hot and then finish it with a minute of cold, right? And that's okay too. And it's actually quite stimulating. A lot of people would say that that would cause a fight or flight response, but actually they're finding in research it doesn't. Now, doing an ice cold shower for long periods of time, yeah, probably not going to be the best idea. But if you want to do a quick splash of it, there's no indication that it's going to cause a problem. Another study showed, regularly exposing yourself to cold temperatures can stimulate the vagus nerve, which helps decrease fight or flight response and activate parasympathetic activity. Now, interestingly enough, I've had a lot of patients over the years who have inflammatory disorders, such as like rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, and they actually move to colder climates because they feel better in cold. I don't know if there's a direct link to that, but we've already talked about how vagal tone lowers inflammatory disorders, and we're talking about how cold stimulates vagal tone, so I can only extrapolate that there must be some sort of connection there, which is really cool. All right, 2 more. Well, kind of, 2.5 more, okay? This one surprised me in a sense when I was doing my research. Number 4 is intermittent fasting. Now, intermittent fasting provides many health benefits to many people. Now, I will say, I have to say this first, do not try intermittent fasting without including your doctor, please, okay? There's so many things out there that say, do this, it's better for you, this or that. It's not in everybody, okay? And how you do it is very individualized. I do not want you guys just going out there with some license saying I can intermittent fast, okay? This is something that should be discussed with the doctor, okay? But if done correctly in the right person, intermittent fasting can improve your memory, fight inflammation, and support your body's stress response. It's been shown to improve your resting heart rate, which would mean vagal stimulation, and heart rate variability. Okay, that's an indicator that the vagus nerve is involved. Okay, there was one animal study that revealed that fasting actually activated the vagus nerve. So that's pretty cool, right? So I will do another live. I actually had someone recommend a live on intermittent fasting. I do have an article on intermittent fasting, so I will keep that on the list, okay? Now, this one's kind of cool for all you singers out there. They've actually shown that singing or humming will stimulate vagal tone. Now, this is used in yoga practice quite a bit with the om, right? Just stimulating the vocal cords. Why? The vocal cords are actually connected to the vagus nerve. Okay, so when you hum or you sing or even you talk, it stimulates vagal activity, which is pretty cool. Okay, so research has actually shown, documented research has shown that simply singing or humming will stimulate the vagus nerve and improve your vagal tone. So I've also talked to you about dancing being a great stress reliever. So I say, if you're having a panic attack, turn on some music, sing, and dance. Get it over with, right? Be in the moment. In fact, I consider that kind of my meditation. If I'm breathing appropriately, I'm in the moment, I'm not thinking about anything else, I'm doing what I have to do, right? So sing and hum. Now, there are a few other things I'm not going to go into extreme detail on, but that you can discuss with your doctor. These would be ones that more you would do along with the doctor's supervision, such as eye movements. There's a lot of research on different eye movements actually stimulating the vagus nerve and therefore calming sympathetic activity. So if you're in like a fight or flight storm, you can actually move your eyes in certain directions at certain intervals and calm the body down. Pretty cool. EMDR is kind of based on that too. It's all about eye movements and calming the body. Carotid artery stimulation is also used a lot in hospitals when people are in panic or having chest pain and things like that, where just a light stimulation of the carotid artery. Now, I'm not talking about cutting off your circulation, okay? We're just light stimulation of the carotid artery can actually bring your heart rate down, okay? So a lot of physicians will use that as a technique. Now, acupuncture, which I do have an article coming up on, I just posted one on traditional Chinese medicine, which I'll be talking about soon, and then I have a follow-up article coming on acupuncture. There's a ton of research on acupuncture in general, and then also on auricular acupuncture and stimulating the ears. Pulling on the ears like this can actually calm you down. I don't know if you've ever had a massage therapist do that and you're like, oh, you just kind of sink into the bed. Pulling on the ears has a lot of activity to the vagus nerve as well. So tug on your ears, sing, and be in the moment. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. I know it was kind of more of a physiology and biochemistry heavy live today, but these are all things that you can do at home. You don't need, to always have to do things with the doctor. You can breathe on your own. You can meditate on your own. You can take classes on this. You can start a yoga class, right? So I encourage you, focus on your breath, okay? Look at what your body can do for you. Our body can do a lot for us, okay? And if you're reading something or talking to someone and it's causing you to go into fight or flight, recognize that and get out of it, okay? There are some news channels right now I don't even look at, okay? Because they just make me angry. And it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. It doesn't help me at all to perpetuate that. It doesn't help me to share any of that type on social media. It doesn't help me to buy into any hype or share any hype in either direction. The bottom line is I'm responsible for how I feel. I'm responsible for that external stimuli getting into me. So anything that you can do to control how you interpret external stress internally is only going to benefit your health, okay? And this is one of the ways you can do that. Look at the vagus nerve. So if you enjoyed this, please share it, please like it. And I do have an article at drpingel.com. And I have a bunch of articles at drpingel.com on all these sort of subjects. And I'm here every single day, every weekday, Monday through Friday, around this general time to talk about a different topic. So I will be here tomorrow as well. And I thank all of you that keep showing up with me, and for the new people I see every day as well. Thank you so much. It's so nice to be here. And go log off, take a deep breath, and have a fabulous day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye now.